Have you ever wondered what a millionaire's garden is hiding? Imagine a dog that tirelessly digs day after day, but when the owner finally discovers the hole, he's shocked. In today's video, we'll unveil the mystery behind this intriguing behavior and show what's really being unearthed. Get ready to be amazed by this incredible and entertaining story. Stay until the end, subscribe to the channel, and we'd love to know where you're watching from. Let's unravel this mystery together. Paulo Oliveira sat alone in his vast study, the walls adorned with portraits of a life well lived but now echoing with memories of a love lost. At 68, he had amassed a fortune that most could only dream of, yet the opulence of his mansion felt more like a gilded cage than a sanctuary. His fingers traced the edges of a photograph of Clara, his late wife, her smile forever captured in time. She had been the heart of his existence, her laughter the melody that filled their home. Since her passing 5 years ago, the silence had grown louder, pressing down on him like an unyielding fog. The mansion, inherited from his ancestors, was a sprawling estate nestled on the outskirts of Charleston, South Carolina. Its grandeur was unmatched, with manicured gardens, towering oak trees draped in Spanish moss, and a grand rose garden that Clara had tended with love. Every room held a piece of their shared history, books they had read together, furniture they had chosen, and personal mementos that spoke of a life intertwined. Yet, despite the beauty surrounding him, Paulo felt the creeping tendrils of loneliness tighten around his heart. His days followed a monotonous rhythm, mornings spent in his study, afternoons in the garden, and evenings reminiscing by the fireplace. The only constant companion in this lonely existence was Thor, a majestic 12-year-old horse that Clara had gifted him before her untimely departure. Thor had been more than a pet. He was a living connection to Clara, a presence that bridged the gap between past and present. Thor was a striking black stallion with a mane that shimmered under the sun and eyes that seemed to hold a depth of understanding beyond his years. Paulo often found solace in riding him through the estate, feeling the steady rhythm of his heartbeat synchronize with his own. In those moments, the weight of solitude lifted, and for a brief time, he felt Clara's spirit beside him. But recently, something had changed. Thor's behavior grew increasingly erratic. He spent hours in the rose garden, pawing at the ground near Clara's favorite rose bush. Paulo dismissed it at first, attributing it to the horse's age, or perhaps a residual grief echoing Clara's own. However, when Dona Zulmira, the family's loyal governess who had served the Oliveira family for decades, mentioned Clara's belief in Thor's special nature, doubt began to creep into Paulo's mind. "Dona Zulmira, you think Thor knows something we don't?" Paulo asked one evening as they sat in the drawing room, the fire casting flickering shadows on the walls. Zulmira, a stooped woman with silver hair neatly pinned back, nodded thoughtfully. "Clara always said there was more to Thor than meets the eye. She believed he could sense things beyond our understanding." Paulo sighed, leaning back in his chair. "I hope she's wrong. I've come to rely on this routine. What if there's nothing there?" Zulmira placed a comforting hand on his arm. "Sometimes, the answers we seek come when we least expect them. Perhaps it's time to follow what Thor is trying to show you." That night, under a sky blanketed with stars, Paulo couldn't shake the uneasy feeling that Dona Zulmira's words had planted. He sat by the window, gazing out at the moonlit rose garden, contemplating the possibility that Thor's restless behavior held a deeper meaning. As midnight approached, the house settled into its usual quietude, broken only by the distant hoot of an owl and the gentle rustling of leaves. Paulo remained awake, thoughts swirling in his mind like the autumn leaves caught in a breeze. He couldn't deny that something had shifted, that Thor's actions were no longer mere habits but intentional signs urging him to look closer, to uncover what lay beneath the surface of his tranquil yet lonely existence. The following morning, sunlight streamed through the heavy drapes of Paulo's bedroom, casting warm patterns on the hardwood floors. Paulo awoke with a lingering sense of unease from the previous night. He couldn't dismiss Dona Zulmira's words, nor the persistent image of Thor's determined digging beneath the rose bush. Determined to understand the horse's sudden obsession, he resolved to observe Thor more closely. After a quiet breakfast alone, his usual routine, Paolo made his way to the expansive rose garden. The air was crisp, carrying the subtle fragrance of blooming flowers. Clara had always taken pride in the garden, her hands lovingly tending to each plant, each rose bush a testament to her dedication and grace. Today, however, the garden felt different, as if it held secrets waiting to be uncovered. Paolo found Thor near the old rose bush, the one Clara had adored above all others. The horse was restless, pawing at the ground with a fervor that seemed almost frantic. Paolo approached slowly, careful not to startle his companion. As he drew closer, he noticed that Thor wasn't just digging aimlessly. His movements were purposeful, almost as if he were searching for something specific. "Come on, boy," Paolo whispered, reaching out a hand to gently pat Thor's neck. The horse glanced up, his dark eyes meeting Paolo's with an intensity that belied his usually calm demeanor. For a moment, there was silence, a shared understanding between man and animal. Deciding to follow Thor, Paolo watched as the horse moved towards the perimeter of the garden, leading him along a familiar yet rarely explored path. The estate was vast, with hidden nooks and forgotten corners that held memories of days gone by. As they walked, Paolo couldn't shake the feeling that they were embarking on a journey beyond mere coincidence. Thor led him to a secluded area of the garden, where an old stone bench stood beneath a canopy of intertwined branches. The bench was a place Paolo and Clara had often sat together, sharing stories and dreams. Now, it felt like a portal to the past, bridging the gap between what was and what could be. Paolo sat on the bench, Thor standing vigil beside him. He closed his eyes, allowing the sounds of the garden to envelop him. The gentle rustling of leaves, the distant chirping of birds, and the soft whisper of the wind. It was here, in this tranquil spot, that he felt Clara's presence most keenly, as if her spirit lingered in the very air they breathed. Lost in thought, Paolo barely noticed the sun beginning to set, painting the sky with hues of orange and pink. It wasn't until Thor nudged him gently that he realized how much time had passed. Rising from the bench, Paolo decided it was time to return to the mansion, but the unease lingered. There was something unresolved, a mystery that Thor was silently urging him to solve. Back inside, the grandeur of the mansion felt oppressive as dusk settled in. Paolo retreated to his study, the same room where he had spent countless hours in solitude. He sat down at his desk, retrieving the photograph of Clara once more. Her smile seemed to offer both comfort and a challenge, an invitation to move forward without forgetting the past. As he pondered the day's events, a sudden memory surfaced. Clara had once mentioned an old family heirloom, a chest that had been passed down through generations but had been lost over time. Could it be possible that Thor's digging was leading him to this hidden treasure? Driven by a newfound determination, Paolo decided to take action. He began to gather tools, a shovel, gloves, and a flashlight, preparing himself for whatever lay beneath the surface. The next morning, with Thor by his side, he returned to the rose garden, ready to uncover the truth that had been buried for so long. Under the same rose bush that had captured Thor's attention, Paolo began to dig. The earth was firm, but Paolo's resolve was stronger. Hours passed, the sun moving steadily across the sky, until finally, the shovel struck something solid. Heart-pounding, Paolo carefully unearthed a heavy, ornate chest, its surface covered in intricate carvings that hinted at its age and significance. With trembling hands, he lifted the lid, revealing the contents within. Old photographs, letters tied with faded ribbons, and a beautifully crafted diary lay inside. Paolo's breath caught as he realized he was holding pieces of Clara's past, pieces that had been hidden away, waiting to be discovered. As he sifted through the items, Paolo's eyes fell upon a letter addressed to him, written in Clara's elegant handwriting. His hands shook as he unfolded the delicate paper, the words within holding the key to a revelation that would change his life forever. The morning sun cast a warm glow over the expansive rose garden as Paolo Oliveira stood before the ornate chest he had unearthed the previous day. The air was crisp, carrying the familiar scent of blooming roses that Clara had so lovingly nurtured. Thor stood beside him, his dark eyes reflecting a mix of curiosity and reassurance. Paolo carefully lifted the lid of the chest, revealing its contents bathed in the soft morning light. His hands trembled slightly as he reached inside, pulling out a bundle of aged letters tied with a faded blue ribbon. Gently, he untied the ribbon and began to sift through the letters, each one bearing Clara's elegant handwriting. The first letter was dated June 12, 2015, just a few months before Clara's untimely passing. As Paolo read, his heart ached with the depth of her words. Asterisk, my dearest Paolo, if you are reading this, it means I am no longer by your side. Please know that every moment we shared was a treasure beyond measure. I have left you some things that I hope will guide you through the days ahead. Trust in Thor. He is more than just a horse. He is a guardian of our memories and the keeper of secrets that even time cannot erase. Asterisk, tears welled up in Paolo's eyes as he continued reading the subsequent letters. Each one contained not only expressions of love and sorrow, but also cryptic hints about hidden aspects of their lives together. Clara had been involved in philanthropic endeavors, supporting various causes discreetly, and there were mentions of a mysterious project she had been working on, something she believed would make a significant impact on the world. Among the letters was a well-worn diary, its pages filled with Clara's meticulous entries. Paolo opened it to a random page dated October 3, 2015. Today, I feel that we are on the brink of something extraordinary. Paolo has been working tirelessly, yet I sense that he is burdened by the weight of our loss. I must ensure that he finds peace and purpose beyond my absence. Thor has been a steadfast companion, and I believe he holds the key to unlocking the path forward. As Paolo delved deeper into the diary, he discovered detailed accounts of Clara's work with various charities and her efforts to create a foundation in her name. There were also references to a hidden room within the mansion, a place that held the culmination of her life's work, a project she believed would bring lasting change and healing. Determined to uncover the truth, Paolo decided to investigate further. He recalled Zolmara mentioning the hidden chest, and now, the letters and diaries suggested there was more to discover within the mansion's walls. He approached the idea with a mix of excitement and apprehension, unsure of what he might find. That afternoon, Paolo enlisted the help of Marcus Thompson, a trusted family lawyer who had been with the Oliveira estate for over 2 decades. Marcus was a tall, composed man with a penchant for solving puzzles and uncovering secrets. When Paolo explained his discovery, Marcus's interest was piqued. "We'll need to search the entire mansion thoroughly," Marcus suggested, adjusting his glasses thoughtfully. If Clara mentioned a hidden room, there must be some clue or mechanism that grants access. It's possible that Thor's behavior is somehow linked to this discovery. Together, they began combing through the mansion, room by room, searching for anything out of the ordinary. They examined old bookshelves, sliding panels, and hidden compartments, but nothing seemed amiss until they reached the library. The library was one of Paolo and Clara's favorite places, a sanctuary filled with books collected from around the world. As they perused the extensive collection, Marcus noticed a particular bookshelf that seemed slightly misaligned with the rest. "Hold on," Marcus murmured, pulling at a worn leather-bound volume titled The Secrets of Charleston. With a gentle tug, the bookshelf swung open, revealing a narrow passageway hidden behind it. Paolo's heart raced as they peered into the dimly lit corridor, the air heavy with dust and mystery. Armed with flashlights, they ventured into the passage, which led them to a concealed room. Inside, the space was filled with artifacts, documents, and a large wooden table cluttered with maps and blueprints. At the center stood a detailed model of the rose garden, with markings and annotations that Paolo didn't recognize. As Paolo examined the model, his eyes landed on a specific area near the old rose bush. His pulse quickened as he realized that this was the very spot where Thor had been digging. Among the documents was a letter that provided further insight. This hidden room houses the culmination of our efforts to create a sanctuary of healing and remembrance. The rose garden is not just a garden. It is a symbol of growth, resilience, and the enduring power of love. Paolo, I hope that by uncovering this space, you will find the strength to continue our mission and honor the legacy we built together. A sense of purpose surged through Paolo. Clara had not only left him memories, but also a mission to fulfill. The hidden room contained the plans and resources needed to establish the foundation she had envisioned, a beacon of hope and compassion for those in need. As the afternoon sun began to wane, Paolo and Marcus continued their exploration, piecing together Clara's intricate plans. They realized that the foundation's impact would extend far beyond their immediate community, touching lives in ways Paolo had never imagined. With newfound determination, Paolo felt the weight of his loneliness begin to lift. Clara's presence, through her letters and the hidden room, was guiding him towards a future filled with purpose and connection. Thor, ever the silent guardian, seemed to stand taller, as if acknowledging the pivotal role he had played in this revelation. As dusk settled over the mansion, Paolo looked out the window at the rose garden, now understanding that the blooms were not just a testament to Clara's love, but also a symbol of the new beginnings that awaited him. The path ahead was clear, and for the first time since Clara's passing, Paolo felt a spark of hope ignite within his heart. The days that followed Paolo Oliveira's discovery in the hidden room were a whirlwind of activity and emotion. With the foundation Clara had envisioned now within his grasp, Paolo felt a renewed sense of purpose. He spent mornings poring over Clara's meticulous plans and afternoons meeting with Marcus Thompson to discuss the logistics of establishing the foundation. The grand mansion, once a symbol of solitude, now buzzed with the energy of a new beginning. One crisp autumn morning, as golden leaves danced in the gentle breeze, Paolo decided to visit the local community center, a place Clara had often mentioned in her letters as a pivotal part of her philanthropic efforts. Accompanied by Marcus and Thor, Paolo drove through the charming streets of Charleston, the historic district alive with vibrant colors and the scent of blooming azaleas. Upon arriving, they were greeted by Eleanor Ellie Bennett, a spirited woman in her mid-30s who had been the director of the community center for the past decade. Her warm smile and welcoming demeanor immediately put Paolo at ease. "Mr. Oliveira, it's an honor to finally meet you," Ellie said, extending her hand. "Clara spoke highly of you and your dedication to our community." Paolo shook her hand, feeling a deep connection to Clara through Ellie's words. "Thank you, Ellie. I'm here to continue Clara's legacy and ensure that the foundation makes a meaningful impact." Ellie led them on a tour of the community center, showcasing various programs that provided support to underprivileged families, educational initiatives for children, and resources for the elderly. It was clear that Clara had been deeply involved in these efforts, leaving behind a blueprint for sustained community support. As they walked through the bustling rooms, Paolo couldn't help but notice the positive energy and the tangible difference the center made in people's lives. It was everything Clara had hoped to achieve and more. Inspired by the dedication of the staff and the gratitude of the beneficiaries, Paolo felt a surge of determination to honor Clara's memory. After the tour, Ellie invited Paolo and Marcus to sit in her office, a cozy space filled with bookshelves, personal mementos, and large windows that offered a view of the vibrant garden outside. They discussed the foundation's goals, funding strategies, and potential partnerships with local businesses and philanthropists. As the meeting progressed, Marcus mentioned the intricate maps and blueprints they had found in the hidden room. "Ellie, Clara's plans for the foundation are impressive, but I believe there's more to uncover. Perhaps some elements that haven't been fully realized yet." Ellie nodded thoughtfully. Clara was always ahead of her time. If there are additional layers to her plans, it would be fascinating to explore them together. Their conversation was interrupted by a soft neighing sound outside the window. Paolo glanced over to see Thor standing gracefully in the garden, his dark coat gleaming in the morning sun. The horse's presence was a comforting reminder of Clara's enduring influence. As the day progressed, Paolo began to integrate himself into the community center's operations, meeting with staff members and listening to the stories of those they served. Each interaction reinforced his commitment to the foundation's mission, bridging the gap between his past and the future Clara had envisioned. That evening, back at the mansion, Paolo reflected on the day's events. He sat by the fireplace, the diary and letters spread out before him, and felt a profound sense of connection to Clara's spirit. Just as he was about to retire for the night, a knock echoed through the grand foyer. Paolo opened the door to find a young man standing hesitantly on the doorstep. He was tall, with tousled brown hair and earnest blue eyes that held a mixture of curiosity and apprehension. "Good evening," The young man began, shifting nervously from foot to foot. "I'm Daniel Harris. I believe Clara and I knew each other through our work with the community. I heard about your discovery and wanted to offer my assistance." Paolo welcomed Daniel inside, intrigued by the unexpected visitor. As they sat in the study, Daniel explained that he had collaborated with Clara on several projects aimed at revitalizing underserved neighborhoods. He had recently come across some of Clara's old correspondences that hinted at undisclosed initiatives and potential partnerships that had never come to fruition. "I think there are pieces of Clara's vision that are still missing," Daniel said earnestly. "With your help, we can ensure that nothing she started goes unfinished." Paolo felt a surge of hope. Another ally in fulfilling Clara's mission could only strengthen his resolve. Together, they delved deeper into the documents, uncovering references to a specialized program Clara had been developing, a mentorship initiative that paired experienced professionals with at-risk youth, providing guidance and opportunities for personal growth. As the night grew late, Paolo realized that Clara's legacy was far more extensive and impactful than he had initially imagined. With Marcus and Daniel's combined expertise, the foundation was poised to make a significant difference in the community. Unbeknownst to Paolo, as he looked out the window at the serene mansion grounds, a shadowy figure watched from the edge of the property. Hidden among the trees, the figure observed Thor's every move, a sense of purpose evident in their stance. Little did Paolo know, this silent watcher had their own reasons for being drawn into the unfolding story, a presence that would soon intertwine with his quest for redemption and healing. The following morning dawned clear and bright, the sun casting a warm glow over the sprawling estate of Paolo Oliveira. The mansion buzzed with renewed energy as Paolo, Marcus, and Daniel delved deeper into Clara's legacy. Plans were laid out, meetings scheduled, and the foundation began to take shape, each step bringing Paolo closer to fulfilling the mission Clara had entrusted to him. Paolo found himself immersed in a whirlwind of activity, balancing his time between managing the estate and coordinating with the community center. The once solitary existence he led was now filled with meaningful interactions and the satisfaction of contributing to something greater than himself. Thor remained a steadfast companion, his presence a comforting reminder of Clara's enduring influence. One afternoon, as Paolo reviewed some of Clara's old correspondences in his study, he received a phone call from Ellie Bennett. Her voice carried a mix of excitement and urgency. "Paolo, I have some wonderful news," Ellie began. "The community center has secured additional funding for the mentorship program Clara envisioned. We're able to expand our reach and help even more young people." Paolo smiled, a sense of accomplishment swelling within him. "That's fantastic, Ellie. I knew Clara's vision would resonate with everyone." As they discussed the details, Paolo's mind wandered to the shadowy figure he had glimpsed the previous evening. The thought lingered, but he chose to focus on the positive developments unfolding around him. Later that evening, as the mansion settled into its usual quietude, Paolo decided to take a leisurely walk through the rose garden. The vibrant blooms swayed gently in the breeze, their colors vivid against the twilight sky. Thor trotted alongside him, the horse's calm demeanor a stark contrast to the unease that had briefly unsettled Paolo. As they approached the old stone bench, Paolo noticed something unusual, a small, weathered lantern placed near the rose bush. He bent down to examine it, recognizing it as one Clara had used during her evening strolls. A note was attached, written in Clara's elegant handwriting. "For moments when darkness seems overwhelming, let there be light to guide you." A chill ran down Paolo's spine. The lantern had not been there before, and the note suggested a message from Clara beyond what he had already discovered. Intrigued and slightly unnerved, Paolo decided to keep the lantern, placing it carefully on a nearby bench. Unbeknownst to him, the shadowy figure who had watched him the previous night was not content to remain hidden. Hidden behind a large oak tree at the edge of the property, the figure observed Paolo's every move with intense focus. The person's features were obscured by the darkness, but the determination in their stance was unmistakable. As the days progressed, subtle signs of the watcher began to surface. Paolo noticed small disturbances around the estate, items slightly out of place, lights left on at odd hours, and an occasional sense of being watched. Despite these anomalies, Paolo remained steadfast in his commitment to Clara's legacy, determined not to let fear derail his progress. One evening, as dusk settled over the mansion, Paolo received an unexpected visitor. A woman, perhaps in her early 40s, stood at the front gates, her presence both imposing and enigmatic. She introduced herself as Dr. Isabella Grant, a historian specializing in the Oliveira family lineage. "Mr. Oliveira, it's a pleasure to meet you," Isabella said, her voice calm and measured. "I apologize for the unannounced visit, but I believe I have information that could be crucial to understanding your wife's work." Paolo invited her inside, intrigued by the serendipitous timing. They settled in the study, the same room where so many of Clara's secrets had been uncovered. Isabella produced a folder from her bag, placing it gently on the desk. "I've been researching the Oliveira family history for years," she began. "Clara mentioned your family's legacy in some of her letters, but there are aspects that remain unexplored. Specifically, there are records of an ancestor, Samuel Oliveira, who was deeply involved in philanthropic efforts during the early 20th century. He established several foundations aimed at education and community development. Much like what Clara envisioned, Paolo leaned forward, his interest piqued. That sounds remarkably similar to Clara's plans. Do you believe there's a connection?" Isabella nodded thoughtfully. "I do. There are references in Samuel's journals to a hidden vault within the family estate, a place where he stored documents and artifacts related to his work. It's possible that Clara was aware of this vault and intended to use it to further her own philanthropic endeavors." A surge of excitement coursed through Paolo. The discovery of a hidden vault could hold the key to expanding the Foundation's impact and uncovering more about Clara's intentions. He turned to Marcus, who had been silently listening. "We need to search for this vault," Paolo declared. "If Samuel established a hidden space, it might contain invaluable resources for our Foundation." Marcus agreed, his analytical mind already mapping out potential locations based on the family's architectural history. "We should start with the areas that haven't been thoroughly explored yet: the old servants' quarters, the basement, and any outbuildings that might have been repurposed over the years." As the trio began their search, the mansion revealed its hidden depths. Behind heavy wooden doors and concealed panels, they uncovered old letters, blueprints, and artifacts that painted a vivid picture of Samuel Oliveira's dedication to community service. Each discovery deepened Paolo's appreciation for his family's legacy and reinforced his determination to honor Clara's memory. Meanwhile, the shadowy figure continued to watch from the periphery, their motives unclear. Was this person connected to the Oliveira family's past, or did they have their own agenda? Paolo remained unaware of the silent observer, focused instead on the mission that Clara had set him upon. One night, as Paolo sat alone in his study, poring over Samuel's journals, a sudden noise broke the silence. He looked up to see Isabella standing at the doorway, a concerned expression on her face. "There's something you should know," she said softly. "I believe you're not the only one interested in your family's history. There are others who might not have the same intentions as you." Paolo felt a chill run through him. "What do you mean? Who else is involved?" Isabella hesitated before continuing. "There have been reports of individuals seeking to exploit the Oliveira legacy for personal gain. They might stop at nothing to access the hidden vault and its contents." Before Paolo could respond, the lights flickered, plunging the room into darkness for a brief moment before they steadied. The air grew tense, and the sense of being watched intensified. Paolo glanced towards the window, half expecting to see the shadowy figure again, but the garden remained serene under the moonlight. "We need to be cautious," Isabella advised. "I can help you navigate the historical aspects, but securing the estate and protecting the vault's contents will require vigilance." Paolo nodded, the weight of responsibility pressing upon him. "Thank you, Isabella. We can't let anyone undermine Clara's work or our family's legacy." As they resumed their work, Paolo couldn't shake the feeling that the mansion held more secrets yet to be uncovered. The discovery of the hidden vault was only the beginning, and the true extent of Clara's vision was still unfolding. With allies by his side and a steadfast companion in Thor, Paolo felt prepared to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Unbeknownst to Paolo, the shadowy figure lurking at the edge of the property was already making plans. Their presence was a silent threat, a reminder that the past had a way of resurfacing in the most unexpected and unsettling forms. The morning sun filtered through the tall windows of Paulo Oliveira's study, casting elongated shadows across the room. Paulo sat at his desk, surrounded by stacks of Samuel Oliveira's journals and Clara's letters, his mind racing with the implications of their recent discoveries. The hidden vault promised to unlock not only his family's philanthropic legacy, but also secrets that had been buried for generations. Marcus Thompson entered the study, holding a fresh cup of coffee. "Thought you might need this," he said, placing the cup beside Paulo. "How are you holding up?" Paulo glanced up, managing a weary smile. "As well as one can, considering everything. Isabella's insights have been invaluable, but I can't shake the feeling that we're missing something crucial." Just then, Daniel Harris walked in, his presence bringing a youthful energy to the room. "I've been thinking about Clara's mentorship program," he began. "There are so many untapped resources in the community center that could really amplify our efforts. Maybe we can integrate some of Samuel's old initiatives with Clara's vision." Paulo nodded appreciatively. "That sounds promising, Daniel. Your perspective is exactly what we need to bridge the past and present." As they delved into discussions, a sudden commotion outside the study drew their attention. Ellie Bennett, the community center director, had burst into the room, her face flushed with urgency. "Paulo, you need to see this," she exclaimed, holding up a letter she had found slipped beneath the study door. Paulo took the letter, recognizing Clara's handwriting immediately. He carefully unfolded it, reading aloud, "Paulo, if you're reading this, it means the pieces are starting to come together. Be cautious of those who might not have our best interests at heart. Trust your instincts and rely on those who truly support our mission. There is more to our legacy than meets the eye." A chill ran down Paulo's spine. It seems Clara was aware that others might try to interfere with our work. Isabella leaned forward, her expression thoughtful. "This warning suggests that there are individuals actively seeking to disrupt what we're building. We need to be vigilant." Before they could discuss further, the lights flickered, and the room plunged into momentary darkness before stabilizing. The sudden blackout heightened the tension, reminding them of the shadowy figure lurking on the estate's outskirts. Determined not to let fear impede their progress, Paulo suggested, "We need to secure the estate and ensure that our work remains protected. Marcus, can you handle the legal aspects? Isabella, perhaps you can look into any historical threats or similar cases?" Marcus nodded, already pulling out his laptop. "I'll start drafting some security protocols and see if there are any legal measures we can take to safeguard our assets and information," Ellie added. "I can coordinate with the local authorities and increase security around the community center. We can't afford any disruptions to the programs we're establishing." As the team mobilized, Paulo felt a renewed sense of determination. Clara's legacy was at stake, and he was resolved to honor her memory by overcoming any obstacles that stood in their way. Later that afternoon, Isabella invited Paulo and Marcus to visit the local historical society. She believed that further research into Samuel Oliveira's activities might uncover additional clues about the hidden vault and any potential adversaries. The Historical Society was housed in a charming brick building downtown, filled with archives and artifacts that chronicled Charleston's rich history. Isabella led them to a secluded section of the library where Samuel Oliveira's records were meticulously preserved. As they pored over old documents, Isabella uncovered a series of correspondences between Samuel and a mysterious benefactor named Edward Harrington. The letters hinted at collaborative projects aimed at transforming underserved communities, much like Clara's initiatives. However, the tone of the correspondence grew increasingly tense, suggesting disagreements and conflicting visions. Paulo's curiosity was piqued. "Who is Edward Harrington? I haven't come across that name before in our family records." Isabella frowned, adjusting her glasses. Edward Harrington was a prominent philanthropist in the early 1900s, known for his aggressive expansion of charitable organizations. It seems there was a falling out between him and Samuel over the direction of their joint efforts. Marcus leaned in, reading over Isabella's shoulder. Could Edward Harrington be connected to the individuals Clara warned us about? Perhaps someone from his lineage or organization is still influential today. Before they could delve deeper, a sudden commotion erupted in the historical society. A loud crash echoed through the halls, followed by hurried footsteps. Isabella, Paolo, and Marcus exchanged alarmed glances before rushing towards the source of the noise. They arrived at the back of the library to find a group of men rifling through the archives, their intent clear. At the forefront was a tall man with a stern expression and an authoritative presence. He turned to face them, eyes narrowing. "What are you doing here?" the man demanded, his voice laced with hostility. Isabella stepped forward, maintaining her composure. "We're here researching historical records. Is there a problem?" The man glanced at his accomplices before responding. "This area is off-limits to the public. We have business here." Paolo felt a surge of protectiveness. "These documents are part of Charleston's history. If you have legitimate business, perhaps you should speak with the head archivist." The man's expression hardened. "We're aware of who you are, Mr. Oliveira. It's best for your sake to stay out of matters that don't concern you." Before the situation could escalate further, Ellie and Daniel arrived, having been alerted by the disturbance. With their presence, the men hesitated, glancing between the group and the path to the exit. Realizing they were outnumbered, the men muttered threats under their breath before swiftly retreating, leaving behind a trail of disrupted papers and a tense silence. Isabella exhaled slowly. "That was Edward Harrington's descendant, isn't it? They're trying to get their hands on whatever Samuel and Clara left behind." Paolo clenched his fists. "We need to act quickly. If they're after the vault, we can't let them succeed." As they gathered the scattered documents, Paolo's mind raced. The discovery of Edward Harrington's descendant confirmed their worst fears. There were powerful individuals intent on exploiting the Oliveira legacy for their own gain. The Foundation's work was now not only a mission of compassion, but also a battle against those who sought to undermine it. That evening, as the team regrouped at the mansion, Paolo couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. He glanced out the window, half expecting to see the shadowy figure again, but the garden remained tranquil under the moonlight. Determined to stay one step ahead, Paolo devised a plan. "We need to secure all the information we have and ensure that our plans are protected. Isabella, can you provide more details on Edward Harrington's lineage? Marcus, start working on legal protections. Ellie and Daniel, continue strengthening our community ties and programs." As the team dispersed to their respective tasks, Paolo felt a mix of fear and resolve. The path ahead was fraught with challenges, but Clara's unwavering spirit and the support of his newfound allies gave him the strength to persevere. Later that night, as Paolo sat alone in his study, he reflected on the day's events. The mansion, once a symbol of his solitude, was now a battleground for a legacy that spanned generations. He reached out to Thor, the loyal horse standing by his side, and felt a sense of calm wash over him. Together, they would navigate the shadows of the past to forge a brighter future. As midnight approached, a soft neighing echoed through the halls, blending with the gentle rustling of the rose garden. Paolo closed his eyes, drawing strength from the memories of Clara and the promise of the foundation they were building together. Unbeknownst to him, the shadowy figure had infiltrated the mansion, slipping silently through the corridors. Their presence was a silent threat, a reminder that the battle for the Oliveira legacy was only just beginning. The tension within the Oliveira mansion reached a boiling point as Paolo, Isabella, Marcus, Ellie, and Daniel worked tirelessly to protect Clara's legacy. The discovery that Edward Harrington's descendants were actively seeking the hidden vault added a new layer of urgency to their mission. Determined to safeguard the Foundation's work, the team intensified their efforts to secure all documents and artifacts. One evening, as dusk settled over the estate, Paolo received an unexpected visitor, Jonathan Harrington, a stern man in his late 40s with a commanding presence. His piercing eyes held a mix of determination and resentment. "Mr. Oliveira," Jonathan began, his voice cold yet controlled, "I'm here to discuss the Harrington family's interest in the Oliveira legacy." Paolo stood, meeting Jonathan's gaze with unwavering resolve. "Your family's history with ours is complicated, Jonathan. Clara and I are committed to continuing the philanthropic work that benefits the community. There's no need for conflict." Jonathan's expression hardened. "It's not just about legacy. Samuel Oliveira and my great-grandfather, Edward Harrington, had a partnership that was never properly concluded. There are assets and information that rightfully belong to the Harringtons. Isabella stepped forward, her voice calm but firm. There's no need for hostility. Let's find a way to honor both families' contributions without undermining each other's efforts. Before the conversation could progress, the lights flickered and the room plunged into darkness. A moment later, the emergency lights illuminated the space, revealing the shadowy figure who had been silently observing the mansion. The figure stepped forward, removing a hood to reveal herself as Dr. Isabella Grant's colleague, Rebecca Collins, a historian with her own vested interests. "Enough," Rebecca interjected, her eyes darting between Paolo and Jonathan. "This conflict won't solve anything. There are deeper forces at play here that neither of your families can control alone." Jonathan's frustration was palpable. "Who are you? And what do you know about this legacy?" Rebecca took a deep breath. Clara and Samuel discovered something significant about the Oliveira-Harrington partnership, a secret that could change everything. It's why you're all experiencing these disturbances. The hidden vault contains more than just documents. It holds the key to a greater purpose. Before anyone could respond, Rebecca signaled to her accomplices, and the room erupted into chaos as they attempted to seize the documents. A scuffle ensued, but Paolo and his team managed to fend them off, ensuring the safety of the mansion's contents. Breathing heavily, Rebecca stepped back. This isn't over. The true legacy of the Oliveira and Harrington families goes beyond wealth and influence. It's about responsibility and the power to effect real change. With that cryptic message, Rebecca and her group retreated, leaving behind a shaken but more determined Oliveira team. The confrontation had revealed that the legacy they were protecting was intertwined with forces neither side fully understood. In the aftermath of the confrontation, Paolo and his team regrouped in the study. The sense of urgency had intensified, and the need to uncover the true nature of the hidden vault became paramount. Isabella delved deeper into Samuel Oliveira's journals, uncovering references to an ancient artifact known as the Heart of Hope. According to the entries, this artifact possessed the ability to amplify charitable efforts, making philanthropic initiatives exponentially more effective. Clara had believed that with the Heart of Hope, their foundation could bring about unprecedented positive change. This artifact could revolutionize our work, Isabella explained. But it's also what makes us a target. If it falls into the wrong hands, the consequences could be dire. Paolo nodded, understanding the gravity of their mission. We need to find the Heart of Hope before anyone else does. It's the key to Clara's vision and our responsibility to the community. Marcus, ever the strategist, suggested a two-pronged approach. We should split our efforts. While some focus on securing the mansion and the documents, others should begin searching for any clues about the artifact's location. Ellie and Daniel volunteered to lead the search within the community center, believing that Clara had integrated some of Samuel's old initiatives there. Meanwhile, Paolo, Isabella, and Marcus continued to explore the hidden vault, determined to unlock its secrets. As days turned into weeks, the team made significant progress. Ellie and Daniel discovered a series of coded messages within the community center's records, pointing them towards an old lighthouse on the outskirts of Charleston. The lighthouse had long been decommissioned, its beacon extinguished years ago, making it the perfect location for hidden activities. Simultaneously, Paolo and Isabella deciphered the vault's contents, revealing detailed instructions and maps related to the Heart of Hope. The artifact was said to be hidden in a place where light meets shadow, a clue that aligned perfectly with the lighthouse discovery. With both teams converging on the same objective, the pieces of the puzzle began to fit together. The Foundation's mission was clear, but so was the threat posed by those who sought to exploit the Heart of Hope. Under the cover of night, Paolo, Isabella, Marcus, Ellie, and Daniel set out for the old lighthouse. The journey was fraught with anticipation and the underlying fear of what they might encounter. The lighthouse stood tall against the night sky, its windows dark and foreboding, a relic of a bygone era. As they approached, the sound of waves crashing against the rocky shore filled the air. The group moved cautiously, aware that they might not be alone. The path to the lighthouse was rugged, but determination fueled their steps. Inside the lighthouse, the air was thick with dust and the scent of salt water. Using the maps from the vault, they navigated through narrow staircases and hidden passages, each step bringing them closer to the Heart of Hope. In the heart of the lighthouse, they discovered a chamber illuminated by a single beam of moonlight streaming through a stained glass window. At the center stood an ornate pedestal, and atop it rested a crystal heart pulsating with a soft, ethereal glow, the Heart of Hope. As Paolo reached out to take the artifact, the shadowy figure from the mansion emerged from the darkness, Rebecca Collins. "You don't understand the power you're tampering with," she warned, stepping closer. "The Heart of Hope is not meant to be wielded by any one individual or organization." Before Rebecca could act, Jonathan Harrington and his accomplices appeared, intent on seizing the Heart of Hope. A confrontation ensued, the room filled with tension and the clash of conflicting ideals. In the chaos, Thor, who had accompanied Paolo for protection, charged forward, intervening between the two parties. His presence seemed almost otherworldly, as if Clara's spirit was guiding him to protect the Heart of Hope. The sheer force of Thor's charge disoriented Rebecca and the Harringtons, allowing Paolo to secure the artifact. Realizing the futility of their pursuit, Rebecca and Jonathan retreated, vowing that the struggle was far from over. With the Heart of Hope in their possession, Paolo and his team felt a surge of optimism tempered by the knowledge of the challenges ahead. With the Heart of Hope secured, the Oliveira Foundation entered a new era. The artifact's power amplified their philanthropic efforts, allowing them to reach and impact communities in ways previously thought impossible. Educational programs flourished, healthcare initiatives expanded, and countless lives were touched by the Foundation's newfound capabilities. However, the true test of their mission was yet to come. Rebecca Collins and the Harrington descendants continued to pose a threat, their motivations rooted in a misguided desire for control and recognition. The Oliveira team remained vigilant, understanding that safeguarding the Heart of Hope was paramount to maintaining its positive influence. One serene afternoon, as Paolo rode Thor through the rejuvenated gardens of the mansion, he felt a profound sense of peace. The once ominous estate was now a beacon of hope and community, a testament to Clara's enduring legacy. Returning to the study, Paolo reflected on the journey that had brought him here. From the depths of loneliness to the heights of purpose, the path had been illuminated by love, resilience, and the unwavering support of those around him. As he gazed at the portrait of Clara, a sense of closure washed over him. The hidden vault, the confrontations, and the discovery of the Heart of Hope had all been part of a grand design, a culmination of love and legacy that transcended time. In the final moments of their mission, Rebecca Collins returned to the mansion, her demeanor softened. "Paolo, I see now that the Heart of Hope belongs to everyone who believes in its purpose. Let's work together to ensure its power is used for the greater good." Paolo extended his hand, accepting her offer of collaboration. "Together, we can honor both our families' legacies and create a lasting impact." With the Heart of Hope united under their stewardship, the Oliveira Foundation thrived, becoming a cornerstone of the Charleston community. Paolo's journey from solitude to leadership was complete, his life enriched by the connections he had forged and the legacy he had helped fulfill. As the sun set over the mansion, casting a golden hue across the rose garden, Paolo rode Thor into the horizon, symbolizing the enduring bond between past and present. The mansion, once a place of sorrow, now stood as a monument to love, hope, and the limitless possibilities that lay ahead. Years passed, and the Oliveira Foundation became a model of philanthropic success, inspiring similar initiatives nationwide. Paolo, now in his twilight years, found contentment in the thriving programs and the lives they touched. Thor remained by his side, a steadfast companion until the end. One peaceful evening, as Paolo sat on the stone bench beneath the old rose bush, he felt a gentle nudge from Thor. Looking up at the sky, he saw a formation of stars resembling the Heart of Hope, a celestial reminder of Clara's enduring spirit. Paolo smiled, knowing that their journey had come full circle. The legacy of love and hope continued to shine brightly, guiding future generations towards a brighter, more compassionate world. And so, the story of Paolo Oliveira, Clara, and the Heart of Hope became a cherished tale, a testament to the power of love, resilience, and the unbreakable bonds that transcend even the greatest of challenges.